So one of the things that I do that actually deviates a little bit away from like just using WAR is if somebody has a skill set that's better than anybody else in baseball, and especially if it has to do with hitting.
Yeah.
So you can make an argument that Luis Arias is one of the top pure hitters in baseball if you consider pure not needing power. Um, like the assumption is that you can just hit for a high average. So like Tony Gwynn style pure hitter.
And I was gonna say, yeah.
I think What was that?
I was gonna say Tony Gwynn. That's great comp. Great comp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Tony Gwynn played in today's game, you could make an argument of like how much demand would he have, given now we're using WAR as our metric and not batting average, RBI, and home runs, kind of like the old
Mhm.
stats. So who
Mhm.
knows? But he was also a good defender too, and he did have speed for a while. Luis Ariz is kind of a one-trick pony. He started to walk a little bit more, but mostly just an empty average guy, like slugging percentage, not too impressive. Mostly hitting singles. But anyways, yeah, Jordan would be a better example because people like the long ball. Home runs often drive hobby values. It's not one for one. You can't just hit home runs. Look at Joey Gallo, Matt Olson up till this year. You know, some examples, guys that just weren't really looked at much. But yeah, Jordan, man. And it's not just the power, it's the average. Like, look at his career, like slash line versus Juan Soto. Like, Jordan Alvarez is more of a 300 hitter than Soto has been for a long time. And Jordan, you know, he's averaging more home runs per plate appearance. He just can't really stay healthy for a full season. So if you look at the things going against him, it's playing DH 60% of the time. People don't generally like that, and that hurts your WAR as well. Um, and then if you're not able to stay healthy throughout the season, and if you look at his body, he's got really small calves, kind of top heavy, and he's got knee issues. Like, so you can like attribute sort of his body type to some of these issues had at such a young age, like knee issues with both legs at like age like 23. Like, that's usually not a good sign of things to come. Like,
And
what sorts of
again,
injuries is going to have when he's 30, 35? But
I mean, uh,
when
yeah,
I buy guys, I like to I like to think of like the narrative. Like, what is the impetus for this guy's values to go up or down? Like, regardless of WAR expectations, current WAR, like, what's the storyline here? And with Jordan Alvarez, it's taking over the league, being by far and away the best, not just left-handed hitter, but best hitter in baseball for a period of 2 to 4 months, you know, before that injury sets in. Even with Aaron Judge's prolific season a year ago, Jordan Alvarez was right up there with him for the first half of the season. And if you look back at their like baseball savant, hard hit stats, launch angle, all that stuff, they were very, very similar. Jordan Alvarez, it appeared, was a little less lucky, and Jordan Alvarez actually struck out way less. And it's something I like to see. It's one of the reasons why people like Acuna so much now versus previous years, is because that's one of the biggest skills changes he made. He stopped swinging outside the strike zone. Um, he's not he's not missing much anymore. He's making a lot of contact when he swings, and he's not striking out much as a result. So that's going to keep that batting average above 300. Like, if you asked me 3, 4 years ago, like who was a better lock to hit 300, Acuna versus Soto, I would have said Soto. But now it's definitely Acuna, and that speed helps too. Get on base as well.
that's what I was gonna say. I feel like with Soto, you have Soto. He's raw. He's got a lot of power, right? He's a bat. He's a big bat. But the speed's not there. The defense isn't there. I feel like Acuna has the defense and the speed, more of a complete player. Again, I feel like that gives you opportunities to become more clippable, right? Because like I said before, we're a clippable world where we're all scrolling through our phones and Instagram, and we love to see the highlight. We love to see the big play, the web gem, whatever you want to call it. You know, Acuna can steal the base. He can steal two bags. He can hit the monster home run. He's got, you know, the incredible velocity in his throws. I mean, he can throw out a runner from right field, and he can make a diving catch, and all these opportunities for him to make a big play that'll, you know, engage the audience, the Major League Baseball fan. And I just saw a stat that came up. All the new rules has increased the attendance and the viewership of Major League Baseball this year, which is a big deal. I think it's a big deal. And I think people like Acuna having big seasons like that, that's another big deal. Now, you're right. I think aesthetics matter. Yordan Alvarez having a great year. He looks big. He's lumbering around. He's this big guy. Acuna is small, twitchy. He's fast. People love football. Our whole country loves football. That twitchiness, that big hit, the fast, the bursts of speed. That's why Ellie De La Cruz is so popular. That's why Julio has become popular. That ability, that fast, quick, the athleticism is big. And so, like a lot of these Dominican players come in and they got that sort of build, that ability. And when you have that, and you can make those big plays, the colorful hair, all the stuff, the dreads, the whole thing, it's cool. And I think that appeals to the broader audience. It's going to appeal to people like Kyle Tucker isn't going to appeal to Andy. Kyle Tucker looks like Tom Green. Remember him, the comedian in Canada? I'm dating myself. He looks like Tom.
Yeah, I remember him.
Remember Tom Green? That's what he looks like. Like Acuna looks cool. Anyway, I mean, I know I'm leaning into aesthetic a lot there, but I think it matters. The talent's obviously there. The numbers are there. He's having a huge season. Will he do it next year? I don't know. I'd like to think he will. But I think players like that are going to make the game popular and fun.
Yeah, I mean, you need the stats too, right? Anybody can have short-term bursts of flash, and you get forgotten. Look at Yasiel Puig, right? He was as flashy as they come. Might not have been best team player, might not have given it his all. Probably a bit lazier than some of these other athletes today, but
depends on how long
it did drive his values for a short-term period of time.
That's what I'm saying. How long you want to? What's your window? If you're buying cards and you want to just sell them, if that's what you're doing, there's your window, right? But I remember him. Like I wasn't watching baseball as much during the Yasiel Puig timeline, but I remember him in the Dodgers. I remember him being controversial, right? I think he was the first guy with a bat flip thing that we started ticking everybody off with that, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember him. Like I don't remember really many people from that era as much because I took a little bit of a break from the game. I was really into football. I'd watch games, Mariner games, but I kind of took a break. But I remembered him. What's that tell you? He transcended everybody's imagination. He kind of reached beyond the hardcore baseball fan that knows all the war and all the stats and all that. That's great. But that flashiness, that relevance, I mean, that makes you stick out. And I think that's important. I think players like that to me are very intriguing.
Yeah, I still lost money on Yasiel Puig, so the flash didn't save me, but I'm sure a lot of people made some good money on him.
I'm sorry about that. Anyway.
No, it's all good. It wasn't that much. It was, at the time before I went deep into cards because I was told they were an investment. Back then, I was a collective. Yeah.
So, like, I know you can clip this. You can clip in and clip out here, but I didn't notice you were recording. But man, thank God you were. We're getting some good stuff. I think you're grabbing some content.
Yeah, this is good. Hey, so Dennis, I saw on your Instagram you posted a story. I think it was yesterday, and you put on it that you think Ronald Acuna is going to be the top player in the game for the next 5 to 10 years.
Correct.
You also had put in there that J-Rod is not going to be able to eclipse him. He's sort of going to be on the periphery, outside looking in with regards to like top player in the game, generational type status. Tell us a little bit more about your thoughts.
Well, yeah, and thank you for giving that lead in there. So for all of us Mariner fans, don't feel bad. J-Rod will have an opportunity to fight for an AL MVP, right? He's not going to have to compete against Acuna in the NL, right? That's assuming he stays with the Braves, which I don't see that changing. I think the reach, like I just got done talking about, the reach of a ball player right now, a baseball player, the kind of player we want to see. J-Rod definitely has that charisma, right? That's why he's so special. He's a good-looking kid. He's got a lot of personality. He's fast. He's twitchy. He makes big plays. He's a very clippable athlete in baseball. Acuna is the same way. But I think Acuna is just another level. I feel like he has shown more. He has shown more in that the baseball players in his class right now. He has shown more ability and talent than the rest of them, in my opinion. He's a more complete baseball player. I think the concern everybody had was his health, and the health. I feel like that health question's been answered. He puts together. He kind of took it easy last year. Still had a decent year. I think he's going to put away all the people that say, "Hey, we didn't need Acuna to win that World Series." Well, then he did. He won it. And he was able to do. He's going to be he's going to do it now. That's what I'm trying to say. But he didn't do it before. I think he's going to be the best player. I think in the next 5 years he's going to be threatening for an NL MVP each year. I think he's in the top 5 vote getter for the next 5 years. I think, he's just, I don't think Julio's going to, I just don't think he's going to do enough. And he's, and again, I'm kind of batting against myself here, but, Julio plays in Seattle. And, it's my home. But, nobody thinks much about us up here, right? The market's not that big. Atlanta's big. Atlanta's a big market. Atlanta's a popular market. You down in the south, I mean, you're down in that area where football is everything, but the Brave baseball is a big deal. TBS, Turner Sports. I mean, everybody grew up with the Braves. Okay, the '90s Braves. They're like there's the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cardinals. These are big market teams, right? These are big baseball teams. I think the Braves are in that conversation. I think the Braves are a big market. They're a very important team in the league. And he's got a great pedigree, and I think he plays for that team, and I think he's going to lead it. Matt Olson's hitting a lot of home runs there, but I still think he's that constant guy. He's a full, long-term. He's really good. I think he's going to be, in the future.
Yeah. So, I just want to add something. So you'd mentioned like Acuna's defensive capabilities this year. He's not really, and I don't know. I haven't looked into his career defensive stats, but he's not really getting the best jumps in the outfield. So I think the arm speed is there. I think a lot of the other aspects of the defensive play are there. It's just maybe he's not getting to some balls that a lot of other right fielders are. But that could change. Like he's got the athletic makeup, like you said, to be better than that. Does Juan Soto have the ability to be that much better than an average right fielder? I don't know. I don't know. If anything, his skills might drop just based on him aging at some point and losing his speed, 4 or 5 years from now. Or, you look at his body type, he just doesn't really have the fast twitch sort of composition. And that's okay. That doesn't mean he's more likely to get hurt. That doesn't mean he's not an athlete. That doesn't mean he's not in shape. That just means that he's just not a fast dude. So, if you compare Acuna to J-Rod, I'm in this baseball card chat, and somebody had asked if J-Rod was a top 5 player in baseball. This is amidst his hot streak that started in either July or August. It seems like he's quieted down a bit since, and the Mariners have as well, as you know. To me, I've never really considered J-Rod a top 3 player in the game at any given time. Acuna started to show us that in probably spurts in 2019. He showed it to us in 2020. He showed it to me in 2021 before he got hurt. And he's showing it to us again in 2023. With J-Rod, Bobby Witt, some of these other guys, they just haven't statistically gotten to that level yet. Whether you want to chalk it up to K to walk ratios, whether you want to chalk it up to just overall, just feel at the plate. I just feel like J-Rod still makes a lot of bad swing decisions. Now, to be fair, J-Rod is 2 years into the league. Acuna is now, 6 years into the league? So very different. And for Acuna to start showing that capability, he didn't show it right away. It did take him at least a year and a half, if not a little bit longer. So J-Rod could still get there, but he's not there yet. He's not there yet, and we shouldn't assume that he will get there. We know that Acuna's been there. So for you to say that he's going to be the top player in the game for the next 5 to 10 years, I actually don't think that's a hot take. I think there's a lot of people that think that now. But with J-Rod, to consider him a top 5 guy, would you really put him above Freddie Freeman right now? Would you put him above Mookie Betts right now? I'd have a hard time doing that. I think he's closer to Nolan Arenado, Matt Olson, Kyle Tucker, Rafael Devers, Corbin Carroll even. Mentioned Bobby Witt already. I think he's closer to the 5 to 12 range than he is to the top 5, where I'd consider, yes, Juan Soto's still probably there. Shohei Ohtani's still there. Aaron Judge, I'll still put him there. He's a year removed from an 11.6 WAR season, basically doing all that with his bat, I think. Decent fielder, but he didn't help out too much with his fielding. I know he was in a negative, but J-Rod, I don't know. I'm holding some of his stuff, so I'm not trying to, make his stuff any cheaper. It's already come down quite a bit this year, and it started to come back up. Did sell one of his cards. I still have 2 more to sell. And I was hoping for a playoff run to be able to get rid of at least one more of those. take advantage of those short-term spikes, which don't tend to last very long, in my opinion, if the player does something well in the playoffs. But I don't know, man. Acuna looks legit, and right now his Bowman Chrome autograph stuff is priced about 50% above Juan Soto. So I think the MVP is baked in. Let's say he gets it. I think we could see a softening of his stuff because it's baked in. So I think it might actually be a decent buying opportunity. Like literally mid-November, people are all listing their stuff, trying to take advantage of this MVP that they don't realize it might not be unanimous, but a lot of people are assuming it. And a lot of people are probably assuming it for bets too. And his stuff will go down too, especially if he doesn't win it, in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying that he's overvalued and he should go down. I'm just saying that's what I think. That's how I think the market will react. And at that point, I'll be buying Mookie Betts too, if they both see a softening in November, mid-November, when the MVP award gets released.
I'd be long on Acuna and a Betts, obviously. Those guys, I think, down the road. But I think I say a player of the decade because I feel like he's had a couple of decent years already in the 2000. I think 2020, if I'm not mistaken, it was an okay year. Obviously, last year wasn't, but he showed what he was going to. He had glimpses of what he was going to come back into form to do this year. This year's a great year, and then you factor that in on your 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 years of really quality, high level baseball, and I feel like the relevance of the player himself, like Trout still had that big collector base, but I think in this day and age, man, it's it's everything's about I don't want to keep beating that horse, but it's all about you 13 seconds, 10 to the TikTok frame. That's the attention span of pretty much everybody, and you can't just say kids because we all do it too. We're all, oh my gosh, watch that. We watch the reels and stuff like that. If it can fit in a reel, that's important. Mike Trout's too long. It takes too long to find it. I mean, he hits big home runs, but it's like, in that generation that came up, they're kind of like, they're not probably as into it as much. And you got this younger gen, they're into Acuna. I have all these just different instincts to tell me that he's going to matter. And I think you need to matter in baseball. There's too many good baseball players, a lot of great baseball players. You talk about Julio kind of being in that same Kyle Tucker, Rafael Devers, like nobody cares about those guys though. I mean, some people do, but people talk about Julio. He was a big deal. He had the big home run derby moment. He's got big moments, right? Those other guys don't. So, and you can argue Jordan has had them. He's had big moments in the World Series, but it still didn't translate because he doesn't look like Acuna. Acuna looks cool, right? And so I think all that stuff kind of Ken Griffey Jr. Case in point. I can't ever go through any show I ever do without mentioning my guy. He was the epitome of cool. He defined cool for pretty much our whole generation. So, and that mattered. It hat backwards. He had his own shoe, video game. I mean, Acuna is going to maybe be on the show cover or something like that, but that's not the same as it used to be. But I think with baseball, there's so many talented baseball players that matter to the game. The purists are going to go with these guys, and we're going to go, yeah, that's great, but not everybody's collecting Freddie Freeman. I don't know. If you want to have some fun prospecting on a guy or getting into a guy, I mean, I think Acuna is a good bet. Obviously, making good decisions and stuff like that financially for yourself, but I'm with you. It's a fascinating conversation, man. I think the next 5 years in baseball are going to be really fun.
Yeah. I guess where I differ a little bit is I do think at the end of the day when the dust settles, it's going to come down to performance and not flash as much that separates these guys. And Acuna might be the right answer regardless, but he's going to need that performance, and he's going to need that performance to separate him from all of the other guys that also have flash. Hey, another guy that had flash, Wander Franco. I thought he was pretty cool. Maybe not as good looking as Acuna. Didn't really have the baseball body too, but he was able to kind of make it work. He was stealing a lot of bases this year, playing really good defense. But you need the stats. You need the longevity. You need durability. You need to stay healthy. It's not just about flash, but flash will help. I agree. And where I'm like comparing Freddie Freeman, I'm putting Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts above Julio, not with regards to potential, not with regards to current athleticism and flash, but with regards to performance, accomplishments, and just like if you had a guy to play not on your team for the next 10 years because you're going to favor the younger guys, but if you're to pick one guy for like this season, right? You'd probably pick Freddie Freeman over J-Rod on your team. You'd probably pick Mookie Betts over J-Rod.
Mookie.
But so you're saying Freeman and J-Rod for you? It's J-Rod. Is that to draw fans in?
Oh yeah.
Or is that to help you win games?
Both. I think there's enough of a trade-off between the two that you're going to. Freddie Freeman's a great baseball player. I'm not nothing against Freddie Freeman, but it's Freddie Freeman. I think you get Julio, you're going to draw people in. If you're a team, you're going to be able to market him. The league is going to be able to market him. He's great. He's dynamic on the field. He makes a lot of different plays. He's great at bat. I mean, he strikes. He knows how to. He's getting better, and you can see it happening. He gets himself out of slumps too. They're short. He gets out of them. I watch a lot of Mariner baseball, obviously, so I can speak to this more. Yes, I would obviously favor him over. Would I favor J-Rod over Acuna? No. Would I favor J-Rod over Mookie Betts? I don't think so right now. Or Ohtani? Probably not. Over Trout right now in his career? Yeah. In Trout's prime? No. So, I mean, I'm not a complete homer here. I just think that over Rafael Devers? Yes. I mean, and I shouldn't speak on Rafael Devers too much. I don't know his numbers. I think we should do another episode at some point.
He's had some big moments, man, in the playoffs against the Yankees. He's had more clutch hits in the playoffs, like against great pitching.
Boston better than I do, obviously.
Yeah, but I'm not buying Rafael Devers for other reasons. His
what are those reasons?
I mean, his hype cycle sort of passed. He's in sort of this weird, age, like 26 or so, where he's not. Speculators aren't buying him. A lot of the long-term holders already have like a decent position in him. He's gone 6 to 7 seasons without finishing top 10 in MVP, which bugs me because that matters to me, right? And that speaks kind of to his peak capabilities. Like for him to have 8-9 WAR season, it would literally be impossible. He'd have to improve vastly based on his current contributions. And his current contributions mostly come in the way of having a decent batting average most seasons, last couple not so much, and the power. He's not walking a whole lot. Defense is meh, not really stealing a whole lot of bases. So to me, he's just like a bit limited, like at least with Yordan Alvarez, I think that he's, even though he's got health concerns, he's just above the pack. He's an outlier with his power, batting average plus power plus on base percentage, like those three skill sets, like to me, that sets him apart from anybody else in the game except for Aaron Judge when he's going well, in my opinion. So yeah, with Devers, he doesn't have like that standout trait that I look for. Again, like the storyline, like how, like other than him having like a ridiculous April next year, which could happen to anyone. So why buy Devers? Why not buy like Byron Buxton? He starts out hot usually before he gets injured, and he's cheaper. So like, what else could cause Devers' stuff to go crazy? And if you're a believer in postseason success driving values, which I don't, he's already had a number of opportunities there anyways. But the team sucks now. They finished in last, and I literally think that they outperformed expectations based on their win total. They probably beat Vegas odds. I think Corey did a great job. There's no question that he's going to not be your manager next year, even though they're turning over some of the other senior leadership. So yeah, Devers is a no, but he's still a really good player, man. He's still a really good player. And I think he could help the team win just like J-Rod could right now. I think J-Rod's streaky. J-Rod's streaky. So maybe you're just watching the games where he goes nuts. And he hits a lot of infield singles, I'm noticing, which is great. You can't take that away from him. It's going to happen with a guy that's like young and quick, right? And hits a ball into the ground a lot. But like, I'm seeing these like 4 for 6 games, 3 for 4 games, and I'm like, oh, it's a home run and like 3 infield singles. And I'm like, he's not having the games like Betts is having. He's not standing out too much with like those offensive metrics like WRC plus, ISO, slugging percentage. Like I'm not OPS still below 850. Like again, like Acuna was 900 plus by like 2019, maybe in 2018 he was 900 plus. Like 900 plus OPS for me is like something I would need to justify spending J-Rod money on J-Rod right now. And he's not quite there yet. Even Corbin Carroll was 900 for a while. Now he's back down to like 860, 870. He's a little dude. A little dude.
Well, for all those the novices out there, tell me why that matters to you so much.
Because it shows whether or not he's good. Because we know as baseball collectors that the offense will drive the value more than any other component. So at the end of the day, the offense matters. It tends to also be somewhat, I wouldn't say static from year to year, but you have a sense of the guy's baseline based on OPS. Like Bo Bichette, another one that can eclipse 900 because he doesn't walk enough. And that pushes him down, whether it's because, again, like doesn't finish top 6, 7 in MVP or top 10. Does Bo Bichette have a top 10 MVP finish since he's been in the league? I don't know. Maybe one. Whether it's WAR, whether it's just overall perception of your contribution, which is linked to those two things, whether it's silver sluggers because of this stuff, all-star game appearances, which Bo Bichette's made a few. It's just, it knocks them down. Like we talked about this before. It's not going to ever affect their values in like a one-for-one way. There's a lot of other variables, but it's a big driver. It's a big driver, man. And when you have baseball, this isn't football where there's only like 20 collectible players. They're all quarterbacks. This is a gigantic pool of players and prospects that have their Holy Grail cards out already. You've really got to separate yourself. And with J-Rod, yes, he's got some flash, but Jackson Holiday maybe has some flash. We're going to see him next year, right? There's going to be other guys after him as well that they're going to need to compete with. So at some point, J-Rod will become Devers' age, and then we're going to be looking back and being like, oh, no MVPs yet, no top 3 finishes. Like, what has he really done to be more than ordinary? You know? And that's not being fair because he's shown the ability to be a star. Serious, but
and you got
consistency's missing.
You got 2 years in, right? So I think looking at the trajectory for Acuna, I think he still has that opportunity to become that guy. But yeah, no, it's not. He's not blowing everybody away this year. He's putting together a pretty good year, though. I mean, he's going to be 100 RBIs, 30 home runs. It's just not. I think the expectation was pretty high. The bar's been set pretty high for him.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard for him.
It is.
It happened to Acuna too. And now he's doing this year.
Yeah, you can still not like J-Rod's current pricing and believe into him long term. I bet there's a lot of people that fall into that. No, there's too much baked in. It's stupid to pay these prices. But at the same time, those same people might think that his best years are ahead of him, which is very likely. So, I mean, if the Mariners make the playoffs, he could still finish top 3 in MVP just because there's not a whole lot of competition. There's a lot of parity after Corey Seager, I think. I think Corey Seager wins number 2 unanimously. Obviously, Ohtani's going to win number 1 unanimously. You can quote me on that. I don't think anybody's going to come close. For Ohtani, for Seager, it'll be really close to unanimous, if not unanimous, like the 30 votes or whatever, however many there are. And then after that, it'll be split between, I haven't looked in a while, but and Bobby Witt, he slowed down too. He was up there. J-Rod, it would have helped him if his team made the playoffs. It would have helped separate him. And I think there's 3 or 4 other guys that are all really close. Maybe Marcus Simeon's close. Maybe Kyle Tucker's kind of close. But I haven't looked at the last month and how these guys have done. And I'm probably missing a few others that are up there. So, hey, top 3 would be huge, man. Top 3 in MVP would be a big deal.
It would be, but I'm with you. I don't know if it's going to happen. There's, I don't know. I don't see
and a lot of people don't tend to remember top 3 anyways, especially when it was oh, you had a 6 WAR season. Looking back at Devers had an 8 WAR or 7+ WAR and still finish outside the top 10 in MVP that year.